Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. If you haven't checked us out on Facebook, please do. BWTM Online. That's our Facebook page. And get on there. It's not just about boxing, it's life, news, entertainment. We've got a great community group in there as well, so do check that out. Also, check us out on Instagram, BWTM Online. And of course, our website, www.bwtmonline.com. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into this. Before I start this particular video, just wanted to make, and this often I like to say this, is that BWTM Online, BWTM, Bayloric TV, BWTM Sports, whatever way you want to remember or you want to see it as, particularly for newer viewers and listeners. One of the things that we've prided ourselves in over the years is that we always say we're going to speak the truth or speak our truth, regardless who's watching or who isn't watching. We're not going to try and impress people with to be false or to be fake or to say things that's going to get loads of thumbs up. We're not interested in that. We're just speaking the truth. We're really thankful and grateful that we're fortunate to have, great people within the community of boxing that have choose to take their time to do interviews with us. And throughout the years, we've spoken to some of the greatest names within the sport of boxing. So when you speak your mind, when you speak your truth, and you consistently speak your truth, and you stay consistent regardless of what else is going on around you, you're going to have people who are going to dislike you. I understand that, and I get that. But the thing is this, no one can say that I don't speak the truth. See, a lot of people will come on the channel, they smile in your face, and then go behind your back, and then do things like dislike videos and all the rest of it. That's fine, but it's a reflection more on people that do that than myself. All I'm interested in doing on the channel is to keep speaking the truth, keep being honest, and keep giving those people that listen to the channel, have supported the channel over the years and continue to support the channel, the truth or our truth and how we see it. We don't care very much about. I respect what other people do. It's not easy being on YouTube. It's not easy having your own channel. It's not easy speaking out and being consistent and speaking out. Sometimes it's not easy because you think to yourself, well, I could be like them and just be sensational. But no, it's about speaking that truth. And eventually people will come around to wanting to listen to the truth. And they're more likely to gain more from hearing the truth than get themselves listening to to falsehood. But anyway, so which leads me on to our next conversation, which is Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia. Only less than a month ago, we spoke to Errol Spence's trainer, and you can check out the interview on the channel. I think we spoke to him for a good, 45 minutes to an hour. We spoke about very different issues or things that I felt strongly about. One of the areas I felt very strongly about regarding Errol Spence was the injury, the car accident, or the car crash, how bad the car crash was. And at the time, Derek said he will be even better on his comeback than what he was before. Well, that still remains to be seen whether Errol Spence will be able to come back better or as good as he was before. I don't know if that can happen. There's one point there were people saying that he would never fight again, but no, that's not the case. November 21st, 2020. I guess Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. Well, Danny Garcia is going to find out what Errol Spence has got left or where Errol Spence is. I don't think anybody, apart from those who are sparring Errol Spence or inside Errol Spence's camp, are going to tell you exactly what Errol Spence has got left. And when I say got left, I mean, I'm asking the question of, well, you were injured, you had a car crash, we saw you on PBC one that evening, and you looked like you were either slurring your words or struggling to to speak correctly because you had new teeth. So that means that there was some fair amount of injury caused to you. The other thing is the other concern is, if you look at Spence through his career, you've been seeing him, and I'm just speaking what I see. You see him turn up to certain fights and stuff. You're watching Spence, and I'm not talking about fights that he's in. I'm talking about you're seeing him drunk, or I wonder, and I ask myself, well, is Spence an alcoholic? Has he got a drink problem? It has. If he has got a drink problem, of course we know the situation with Sergey Kovalev and what drink can do to your body. So you've had the injury. I don't know what Spence does in his extracurricular time, but obviously, if he is a drinker and he has got an alcoholic problem, or he's an alcoholic, it's something he needs to tend to. Often in boxing, we like to turn a head away, turn a blind eye to what aside to a person that needs help, or turn a blind eye to a person because we don't want to sound unpopular or unfavorable. But if you really like a person, or you really care for a person, or you really like what they do, you want to see them do it for as long as possible. By having a drink problem, if he's an alcoholic, then that's going to shorten his career anyway. And the dangers with it, we've seen the dangers already. Spence may not have even been with us today had that car crash not had gone tragic. You understand? See, at one point he was in an intensive care unit, so nobody can tell me, oh, the car just rolled over and he just walked out. He was in an intensive care unit, so that was a problem. All right, that was a serious problem there, and some people won't talk about it, but it's not the first time I've heard the rumblings about Spence being alcoholic, and it's a concern. It's a concern, particularly for a young fighter that's getting a lot of traction. Now, I'm not one of these people that will just support a fighter because of the color of his skin, or just support a fighter because it's just a fashion to do it. I'm going to support a fighter because I love boxing. I'm not into all that stuff where if a guy can fight, he can fight. I'm here, but I'm interested in boxing. I don't care about his political views outside the ring. Can he fight? Yeah, he can fight. Great. That's what I'm interested in, and that's what I'm here to do, to analyze how fighters fight. Now, what anybody else does outside the BWTM universe is none of my concern, and we really don't care. Good luck to everybody else. What we do inside the BWTM universe is what we do inside the universe, and we just look at fighters for what they are and what they do. And here you have a fighting Danny Garcia, who is a pretty decent fighter. Um, I have a lot of respect for Danny Garcia. I think he's a very sturdy young man, strong, powerful, good left hook on him, good underrated boxing ability. Um, and I think Errol Spence is made for Danny Garcia. Two made for one another because Spence ain't gonna move too much, and he pulls straight back from punches, and Garcia's got a nice left hook to clip him with. That being said, Garcia's not gonna run anywhere. He'll stand right in front of Spence. So there'll be opportunities for Spence to land them legendary body shots. Now, coming back, of course, when Spence gets into the trenches with Danny Garcia, only then I think we're going to know what Spence has got in terms of this injury. I know he's sparring, but sparring and fighting are two different things. Sparring and fighting are two different things, and that's a concern right there for me. So we're going to know what Spence has got left, or what Errol Spence is in 2020. We do for sure. The coronavirus or COVID-19 has been a blessing to Errol Spence. It's allowed his body the time to heal. But now I believe he's now started sparring. I do know that Derek James, who I've got a lot of love for Derek James. Um, he said that Errol would start sparring the following week after the interview. So they're in camp and they'll be working hard, and they'll be studying Danny Garcia. But there are things that, like Errol Spence's performance against Mikey Garcia, he didn't blow Mikey Garcia away, but he boxed Mikey Garcia. It was fine. It was an interesting performance. He didn't look fabulous in it. He looked good, looked okay. Danny fought Sean Porter, you know, and a fight that could have gone either way for me because it wasn't. I wasn't convinced that Errol Spence looked so great. He didn't. Not if you listen to what people say about Errol Spence in YouTube channels, you'd think Errol Spence was the second coming of Muhammad Ali or Julian Jackson or Thomas Hearns. And all I've seen so far are workmanlike, consistent performances from Errol Spence. Workmanlike. And I believe that Danny Garcia would have brought a serious challenge to Errol Spence, not just because his boxing ability and IQ, but because of his punching power. And the fact that when you look at Danny Garcia, you look at a guy who was a champion in the lower weight division, and I think he had all the belts. Was he? I'm sure he was undisputed, but he had most of the belts. A unified champion. He's moved up and he's become a champion again. So Danny Garcia knows what it's like to be a champion, two weight division champion. And for me, he's been through. He's had Keith Thurman. He's had he's had Sean Porter. He also fought the guy in the lower weight division. I can't remember again. He was a huge puncher at the time, and everybody thought he was going to knock Danny Garcia's lights out. And Garcia beat him, and Garcia beat Judah as well. Garcia's fought some good guys in his resume. In fact, if you look at Garcia's resume and the type of guys he's fought compared to Spence, and Garcia's been written off for this fight. People need to watch Garcia. Garcia's he could very easily cause a serious upset in the career of Errol Spence. This is not the fight that Errol Spence, if I were advising him to be coming back and fighting against Danny Garcia, absolutely not, because he couldn't get Mikey Garcia out of there with body shots. He couldn't get Sean Porter out of there with body shots. So yes, he's a good body puncher. Yes, he dropped Sean Porter, but then so did Adrian Broner. You get? I think Ugas dropped him as well, didn't he? So I mean, when you look at that, what are you telling me? Danny Garcia's got one punch knockout. He has got the one punch knockout power, and it's not like Spence is going to be moving around the way that say Keith Thurman would have been moving around, or busy like Porter is. Do you understand? So I think this is a great fight for Errol Spence, but not now, not in November. This was a tough fight for Errol Spence. Come off the back of a Sean Porter fight, it was a tough fight. Even in GB boxing, it was a tough fight, right? It was a tough fight. But coming back after injury, no warm-up fight, and you're coming back and fighting Danny Garcia, what, you think you're Sugar Ray Leonard? Listen, this fight, I don't think should be made. I really don't. Garcia will be hungry. He'll be coming to fight. I'm not saying Errol Spence is not a good fighter, but I'm telling you, Garcia has what it takes. Good evening, Denise. Garcia has got what it takes to not only beat Errol Spence, but to stop Errol Spence. Because I'm not convinced yet that Spence is ready to fight Danny Garcia now. I'm not. And you just got to be honest and say as you see it. And if anybody can tell me, yeah, he's ready to fight Garcia. Well, all right. My question to you, number one question to you is, unless you've seen Spence in sparring, what condition is Errol Spence in today? Physically, mentally, emotionally. The next question I'm going to ask you is, well, he was off for a long while with the injury. Was he drinking during that time? What was his state like physically? How much more damage has he done to his body through drinking? Got to ask the question. I have to ask the question. Has he cleared up any drink issue that he has got? If not, why not? I mean, this is meant to be one of PBC's gems. The last thing they want is him getting beat. But even if he gets beat by another PBC fighter, which isn't too bad. You know? I mean, when I'm talking about stand-up performances, I don't see stand-up performances from Errol Spence. I see good performances. I see workmanlike performances. But I don't see stand-up performances. Not against the elites. Do you understand? So, when I talk about stand-up performance, let me give you an example. Sambu Cullenbay and Michael Nunn. Sambu Cullenbay is solid as a rock. Never been knocked out. You know what I mean? Nobody knocked Sambu Cullenbay out. And Michael then comes in, hits him with a beautiful left, a clean, sweet punch, lays him out flat. And Sambu Columbus, world class, lays him out flat in the first round. I mean, that's outstanding. Outstanding. You understand what I'm saying to you? Where you go out and you put on a performance and you dominate the opposition who's meant to be also a world class athlete. When you do things like that, then I can understand people raving about you. And I have never been a massive Errol Spence, truthful. I think he's a good fighter. And a lot of the hype, let's be honest, that came, I'm not saying Spence is a hype job, please hear me correctly. A lot of the stuff that was said about Errol Spence and what was spoken about him was said about Errol Spence because of the sparring that he had with Broner and the sparring he did with Floyd Mayweather. That's it. Back then. Yes, I know he's a good fighter. I'm not disputing that. But what I am saying to you is that how much of the Errol Spence energy and what everyone's talking about is substance and actual, well, you can point out and say this, or how much of it is promotional smoke, just to hype the guy up there. Because the more you hype the man up, the more smoke you blow up him. What basically happens is if he doesn't stop Danny Garcia, if he doesn't destroy Danny Garcia, it actually hurts the fighter more than it helps them. Because when it's like you driving a car that can only go 60 miles per hour, and the other cars around you can go 80, 90, 100 miles per hour. You know what I mean? And you keep selling this car as the best car in the market, uh, and he keeps coming up short. And in this situation with Spence, he has not done anything spectacular for me. A guy like Mikey Garcia moves up weight division to fight him. Mikey Garcia had no business being in the welterweight division, and Spence looked okay. He looked okay. You would have thought, Spence was fighting Manny Pacquiao or something. Imagine that was Manny Pacquiao in the ring that night. I just think to myself, it's got to be better than that. And your trainer's in your head telling you, let's go and get this guy out of there. And you can't, no matter what you do, you can't get him out of there. You might be this superb body puncher, but then you're not getting rid of Mikey Garcia. But then you look at someone like Ricky Hatton, example, who's a murderous body puncher, and you whip them body, whoop, whoop, and you go over. Julian Jackson, a big puncher. The way he took apart Terry Norris, the way he knocked Terry Norris out. Jackson's a big puncher. Advertised. Do you understand? Thomas Hearns with standout performance when he knocked out Roberto Duran. We hit him with a right hand, he laid Duran out cold. That standout performance. That's what I'm talking about. Standout. Not mediocre, standout. And I haven't seen a standout performance yet from Errol Spence. Don't talk to me about no Leonard Bundu, 40-year-old Leonard Bundu. Don't talk to me about that. I want to see a outstanding performance before you get me turn around and calling Errol Spence this and that and the other. Good fighter. And when you go there, the category just after Spence's performances, the next guy after that is Gervonta Davis, who's looked spectacular in certain fights against certain level opposition. But now he fights Leo Santa Cruz. And that's another one. That's another one right there. That when I think the going gets tough with a guy like when the pressure's put on someone like a guys like Gervonta Davis, I can see them quitting. But we'll have to wait and see. The time will tell. Don't call me a hater. Let's just wait and see. Ryan Garcia, another one. Now, all these guys Spence is a little different because at least Spence has fought Porter, he's fought Mikey Garcia, he's still going to fight Danny Garcia. He does say he wants to smoke with Crawford and Thurman. Do you know what I mean? I can crack all the jokes I want about once upon a time Thurman, but Keith went in there. He fought Porter. He fought Garcia. Did well. Do you understand? And he fought the legendary Manny Pacquiao. Came up short against Pacquiao, but like I said, Thurman's not been the same fighter for years because of that shoulder injury. As far as I'm concerned, he's never been the same fighter. So, all in all, the question I ask everybody is it going to be a man down or man going down? It's a tough call for Errol Spence. Should he beat Danny Garcia? And if Errol Spence goes out and he knocks Danny Garcia out, or he stops Garcia with a body shot, now we're talking. Now we're talking. If you stop Danny Garcia has never been stopped before. He hasn't even come close to being stopped. So if Errol Spence could stop Danny Garcia, that would be a signature win. And Garcia ain't no bum. If Spence could stop Garcia, drop him, stop him with a body shot, or knock him out, that would be, for me, a great performance, a great comeback, considering where he's been. I mean, if you're having your teeth repaired or you get new teeth put in your mouth, that tells you that's some serious damage that was done to you. You can come back from that. I know people talk about Fury and his mental health issue. Of course, we've got to give Danny Jacobs his comeback from cancer. We've got also Vinny Pazienza came out from a motorcycle, I think it was a motorcycle accident with Vinny Pazienza. If you look at him when he was hospital, they were told that he would never box again. And that Errol Spence. So you've got to add Errol Spence to that list. But can he come back? And can he do the business against Danny Garcia? A points win against Danny Garcia, for me, it's going to be okay. It's how he goes about his business. So I wish Errol Spence all the very best in this fight on November 21st of November. I wish him all the very best. But again, I don't think it's the right fight for him to come back to. I'd like to see him have an easier fight, see what he's got, and then fight Garcia next year. But it is what it is, as they say. It is what it is. Thank you all for watching. This has been BWTN Sports Gaming. This is a universe of our own. We don't follow others. We do our own thing. Thank you for watching.